I have become aware that some people consider it inappropriate, quite inappropriate, that I have been doing these Bible lessons, being a Bible teacher, dressed so casually. So, jacket, tie, get a little bit more dressed up for the Bible lesson. So, today's verse in this series of lessons on the book of James and practical Christian living is in James chapter 1 and verse 26. If anyone considers himself religious and yet does not keep a tight rein on his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion is worthless. The English language is a curious language. It has a lot of words that either are spelled the same and have totally different meanings, or sound the same and have totally different meanings, and this word rein is one of them. This has the word that has to do with the controlling straps to control a horse. So I'll read it slightly differently, substituting the meaning. If anyone considers himself religious and yet does not keep tight control of his tongue, he deceives himself, and his religion is worthless. So we have this question of religion. And James, in this verse, talks about two things. He talks about religion and he talks about the tongue. Now, in the next verse, he's going to talk about religion some more. And so will we. But in farther on, he will give a much more detailed discourse about control of the tongue and what that means. Interestingly enough, he does not, in that discussion of control of the tongue, make any comments about using references to God or using words that some people think are the name of God that are not the name of God, nor does he talk about anything about words concerning bodily functions. Interesting. He has another whole issue about what it means to control the tongue, quite separate and different, important issue of control of the tongue, which we will get to. But now I'm going to talk about, what is this religion? What does this mean? It's curious that there are a number of words in the Bible that are translated in various translations, particularly the King James, as worship. And this is one of them. Frequently you'll see that there are two words that are translated worship, but there's actually more than that that are translated worship in the King James. And that's an interesting study of its own. But this is a word that appears only a few times, once as worshiper in Colossians, worshiping in Colossians, where it talks about vain things, empty things, such as false humility and so on. And in that list is a worshiping. This threskeio, threskeio, threskios, thriskos, thriskamos. There's all different variations because of the Greek grammar. And it's not the same as when it talks about our worship, our spiritual service of worship. Totally different word, and so on. And it is used by Paul when he talks about the days when he was a Pharisee, when he said that he went by the strictest norms of his religion, that is the religion of the Jewish Pharisees. So what is this word? What does this word mean? Because it doesn't, other places where it talks about religion, it uses quite a different word. It's talking about a different subject. This is a word that is used in Greek to talk about what are known as the cultic aspects of worship. It's a technical term. Doesn't mean that the particular group is a cult, kind of defined as bad. It means the ceremonial aspects. Wearing certain special clothes that are out of date, out of style, an embroidered band around the neck that has to be worn, in order to be the officiant, bringing in incense and bells, fasting on certain particular calendar days. That's different from fasting at times when one feels called. I'm talking about that there's a liturgical calendar, making the sign of the cross, genuflecting. All of these things are cultic aspects, and they would be in this word religion. Now, some of you, as I'm talking about the behaviors of the liturgical churches, such as the Greek Orthodox, the Syrian Orthodox, the Roman Catholic, the Anglican, are going, ha, 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 ha. We don't do that. Really? I mean, I can think Church of Christ, Southern Baptist, independent Bible churches, Pentecostals, Apostolic, Holiness. You're thinking, we don't do that. We don't have all those. Do you? How about Sunday clothes? How about you're not religious if you don't wear a jacket and tie when you come to church on Sunday or when you're teaching the Bible? Not putting an object on top of the Bible when you set it on the table, and never, ever setting the Bible on the ground, even though you're outside and there's no table and there's no place for me to put my Bible down. So I have an upturned plastic bucket, and it's clean to put my Bible on. But this is also thriskeo. And James says that all of your thriskeo, it doesn't say it's bad. He doesn't say thriskeo is bad at all. He simply says that if you do not control your tongue, all of that holy thriskeo is empty, worthless, and good for nothing.